Look, you want me to be honest? I think as far as the balls that are red are concerned, Houston, we might have a problem. The oldest truism in F1 is that you can't do anything if you don't have a car, the wheels, the requisite minerals necessary to win yourself races and therefore championships. And we're about to have this discussion under that umbrella heading going into 2025 and 2026. Who will have the fastest car? An Italian publication today reports that the MCL39 is set to be half a second quicker. Depending on which side of the fence you set, McLaren fan or naysayer, that might be every bit quick enough to win themselves a Drivers' and Constructors' Championship, although some say that that might not be it. This, though, is a problem, a difference in extents and not kinds. Your boy Cameron CC has done some due diligence. Let's check out the year-on-year comparison. Bahrain, 2023. Max Verstappen dropped it on pole with a 129.708. A year later, dropped it on pole again with a 129.179. That's circa half a second quicker now. Now, no, it's not like for like, not quite apples and apples. We're now in the final year of this rule and reg set, but that gives you some indication. Again, if you want to get techie, you want to do it as a percentage of the whole, not absolute terms times. I get it. But that was half a second year on year. I think if McLaren can get themselves another half a second at the altar of anti-dive and anti-squat, so too being economical and efficient with their aerodynamics, then I think they might be in with a challenge. This all in the context of the following. I think Red Bull might have themselves a problems. Yeah, we've talked ad infinitum about Maximilian Verstappen potentially wanting to leave himself the balls that are red, tread some new territory, sign a 1 billion contract in perpetuity with one Aston Martin. But I think it gets deeper than that. 2026, there will be a new rule and reg set, 50% internal combustion, 50% electric. This is unknown unknowns. How are they going to fare? Are Mercedes and Ferrari, as anticipated, ahead as far as expediting for their learning curve? How are Ford and Red Bull going to manage? What's their collaboration going to look like? What are they going to yield? Because lest we forget, it's a very different proposition. No chalk and cheese, some might say. Red Bull and Honda as versus Red Bull and Ford. This is an equation of experience, is it not? Don't take my word for it. You only need to listen to Christian Horner, because last week he was talking about it ad infinitum in detail. He said as follows about the collaboration with Ford, quote, "The collaboration has thus far been fantastic. One of our concerns when we took on this project was that we missed the depth of knowledge as compared to Ferrari or Mercedes or any other OEM-owned team. And then this partnership with Ford just naturally happened, and that's just given us such a great collaboration, so much enthusiasm across different departments that we're able to go toe-to-toe with what our competitors have available to them." Yeah, that's what you think, Christian Horner. And he continues, and here's where you get the drip feed, the truth saying, I quote, "I think we have all the strengths and depths and all capabilities. What we don't have, though," Christian Horner says, "we don't have the experience." No kidding, Sherlock. Of those components, which one of those is going to drive your speed, your ability to build a market-leading engine in a brand new circumstance? Of course, it's going to be a function of the length and breadth of your experience, all of which, by the way, Scuderia Ferrari and Mercedes have in abundance. Oh, the humanity. Christian Horner continues, "Of course, Ford brings some experience with them, but this is a brand new project and we're under no illusions that we've got a mountain to climb." That's Christian Horner saying that. Now, Christian Horner normally is a truth sayer, right? But he's not averse to bending and breaking the rules as far as durable competitive advantage and bigging up his team. That he's saying that tells you all you need to know. And that aligns perfectly with most of what people are saying up and down the paddock, right? That Mercedes and Scuderia Ferrari, as far as the engine, the symbiosis of electric and internal combustion, that those two teams have the whip hand by dint of the length and breadth of their experience. Christian Horner continues, and I quote, "But we've got some great people involved. We've got great partners. We've got a great fuel partner in ExxonMobil and great facilities too. The partners that we have are the best in the world, the best in the sport. And I think we're very proud," he continues, "to have a Ford badge on the car again from 2026. Listen to me. You can't even say that with a straight face, given Ford's reputation around the world for reliability and or lack thereof. It will be a new era," continues Christian Horner. "A new chapter for the team. Is the biggest challenge that we've taken on in the last 21 years since being in Formula One. No kidding, Sherlock. It is indeed the biggest challenge that Red Bull have taken on in their 20-year tenure in Formula One. This is techie. Unknown unknowns, brand new circumstance, brand new set of rules and regulations where the other teams, the other 9, have durable competitive advantage by dint of the length and breadth of their experience." Oh, and if we're talking experience and lack thereof, Adrian Newey spoke to this very recently, didn't he? When he gave an interview with AMUS. Here's what Adrian Newey said about the balls that are red and them continuing to bark up the wrong design philosophy tree in 2024. Not same, but very similar. Here's what Newi said. "From what I can see from the outside, but I don't know, the guys at Red Bull, and this is no criticism, I think they just in 2024, perhaps through lack of experience, kept going in the same direction." This, Houston, is a problem for Red Bull, not necessarily in 2025. Maybe they will have fixed it. Again, tack on a cheeky flexi wing at the front, a bit of mini DRS at the back. Maybe we don't see it necessarily in 2025. Maybe they can paper over the cracks that Adrian Newey's not in substantial departure, the last airbender. Maybe they can paper over the cracks that his departure have left for 2025. But for 2026, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, I think they have themselves a problem. So too, let me read this out to you. If we're talking about 2026, a wicked article from motorsport.com outlines the problem as follows. Oh, and Adrian Newey, by the way, you'll recall that he said if it's the internal combustion portion where you lack speed, then that durable competitive advantage, that delta might carry through the entirety of that rule and reg spec in 2026. But I digress. Motorsport.com, before I give you the clincher, they say creating a more energy dense fuel is not only going to be the key to maximizing the power of the internal combustion engine that is part of the power unit in 2026, but it could also potentially lower the weight of the car if less fuel is necessary for a given length of race. Horner mentioned that the fuel will be key to performance. Mate, this is a multifaceted automotive Rubik's Cube. No. Listen, and they want to make their lives as simple as possible. Line of least resistance settings, but Red Bull's lives in 2026 will be anything but. Oh, and by the way, there is stakes now. Build a dodgy car in 2026 and you don't think Max Verstappen will effect for his performance clauses in real time and null and void his contract. They've talked ad infinitum about a sabbatical. Father of Max, Jos, will tell anybody that will listen that his son will happily go on a sabbatical if Red Bull don't build him a car. And you think that's troublesome enough, eh? Let me tell you this as our clincher, final topic on the docket, because there are tariffs all over the show, right? Mr. Trump is in power and he's talking tough, lest we forget broader context as far as the automotive industry. Everything North America as far as automotive car selling, struggling, on its knees, both in Europe and North America. Why? Because the market that they've nailed over the past couple of years been selling to in Japan and China, North Asia, no longer buying their cars. They're investing in BYD in real time. So why would North Asia continue to buy Scuderia Ferrari or Volkswagen even, or GM, Cadillac and Chrysler, or for that matter, Ford. There is a war going on in real time. And in the latest Joe Saywood newsletter, he speaks to this. Oh, and by the way, broader context too. EV regulation. Look, in the UK in particular, I'll speak to that circumstance because I know about that most. These lot are pushing EV. Everything's meant to be EV by 2030 and now 2035. EV is the hottest ticket on sale, right? Everybody's going to go and get an EV car in the name of sustainability. And it's fashionable now. Get a Tesla. They look really, really sexy. However, the infrastructure isn't there to power these EV cars. So by dint of the regulation, EU and North America to a certain extent is bringing these car manufacturers to their knees. Why? Well, because where if you're going to manufacture these batteries, where would you do it cheapest? There is a war going on between EU and North America and North Asia as far as the EV market. If you're going to buy batteries at their cheapest, you're going to buy them from North Asia. So what are we doing here? And the only reason why I say that is to say this, because Joe Saywood indicates that the car industry does not want to fall out with the new president, Mr. Donald Trump, but Ford CEO Jim Farley has already said that the new administration is causing Ford problems because of the tariffs. The uncertainty too that has been created because of the tariffs. Farley said that the end of the subsidies for electric vehicle manufacturing and tariffs on steel and aluminium on cars manufactured in Canada or Mexico could force the company Ford to lay off workers in the United States. He continues, Jim Farley, this is a Ford, a 25% tariff across Mexico and Canada will blow a hole in the US automotive industry, the likes of which we have never seen before. This is chaos. He continues. It gives him free reign. It gives free reign to South Korean and Japanese and European companies that are bringing 1.5 to 2 million vehicles into the US that wouldn't be subject to those Mexican and Canadian tariffs. American automotive industry will be brought on its knees by dint of some of these changes that we're seeing in real time of the macroeconomic variety, tariffs et al. Joe Saywood continues. Subscribe to that dude's newsletter, by the way, if you like yourself some cheeky F1 content, insider news each and every time. He continues. The US produced 79.5 million tons of steel last year, but also needed to import a further 28.9 million tons of the steel going into America. 25% of it comes from where? Canada, Brazil 17%, Mexico 14%. The countries upon whom Trump is proposing to institute these tariffs. Now we see the problem faced not just to the automotive industry in North America, but specifically to Ford. Life is going to be made difficult for them at the critical time, the year before the new rules and regs kick in 2026. Christian Horner says what they don't have, what they lack is the experience. What Mercedes and Scuderia Ferrari have in abundance is the E word, experience, and Formula One is nothing if not a zero-sum game. There are stakes in this too. Lest we forget, as aforementioned, that Maximilian Verstappen will leave that team in an instant if for a second he doesn't believe that they can provide him with the engine, the power unit requisite to win races and therefore championships. Connect the dots, therefore, people. Max Verstappen has already got paranoia about the gap that Mercedes and Scuderia Ferrari are having in their power unit preparation race for 2026, and now overlay with all of the aforementioned this narrative about tariffs. Ford, in conjunction with the Bulls that are red and their life going into the mission critical season that is 2026, new rules and regs, has just been made all the more difficult, nay, impossible. Ford, Red Bull, what are we doing here?